What's up again, YouTube? This is Retro Russ of Retro Russ Reviews, and this is the first episode, so I'm very excited to get this ball rolling, and I just want to say first and foremost, thank you very much to everybody who went to the Facebook page and voted, all the likes and the comments and everything on Instagram and Twitter. Very, very much appreciated. Definitely inspiration to get going with this, so again, thank you. Let's just jump right into it. Let's check out the podium and see the results. Rygar, created by Tecmo and released for the NES in July of 1987, is a side-scrolling, open-ended action-adventure. I don't know exactly what it is, but if you mix Contra and Metroid, you'd get Rygar, just nothing quite as good as either of those games. The goal is simple: save the land of Argol from the evil king Rygar.
What are you drawing?
A Rygar.
Your weapon of choice is called a disc armor, a giant shield attached to a chain, and I must say it's one of the cooler weapons for an NES game. This game has lots to offer: great 2D platforming, interesting enemies, catchy music, legendary gods. Wait a minute, where have I heard that music before? Want to know something this game doesn't offer? A freaking save feature. The only way you could beat this game is if you kept your NES on overnight and hoped to God that it would work the next day. 9 times out of 10, this happened. Yeah, that's right. Blinking red doom. So that was Rygar. It's a game that I highly recommend that you try out. When I was talking about the game being like Contra and Metroid kind of mixed into one, I was pretty much talking about the elements of the gameplay. I'm not saying it's as good as either one of those games, because it certainly isn't, but it has elements of both. With Contra, you got this 2D platforming and you get the vertical levels as well. And with Metroid, you get the exploration, finding items to advance in the game, which Rygar also has. So it's not the greatest game in the world, but it's certainly one that I recommend you play through at least once. And it's, for being a game made in 1987, it's pretty solid, so definitely check it out. So with that said, let's go ahead and check the podium for the second place winner. "3D Worldrunner" is a rail shooting platformer released in the US by Acclaim in September of 1987 for the NES. The game was actually developed by Square. The game was created by Hironobu Sakaguchi and Nasir Jabeli, with music composed by Nobuo Uematsu. You may also know these guys from some other game released in 1990, not a big deal or anything. Well, I've got 4 categories to cover, so let's dive into this bad boy. Let's first look at presentation. So according to the game manual, your mission is to come and save Solar System number 517 from Grax and his brothers, also known as Serpent Beasts. The game spans 8 levels and consists of you running and jumping your way to the end of each level to fight the said Serpent Beasts. If you ever have played Space Harrier for the Sega Master System, it has a very similar feel. You play as Jak, and let's just say Jak is about as generic as they come as far as characters are concerned. Apparently he also likes to sit Indian style when you pause the game and smoke peyote. The levels are bright and colorful, but the enemies in this game are quite stale. Here in level 1, you face off against dozens of Lolo's cousins. Seriously though, don't they look like Lolo? Other enemies include hands, seashells, Frosty the Snowman's head, and Venus flytraps. How much more nonsensical and random can we get? They should have included baseball bats, dishwashers, and Amish beards as enemies as well. Graphically, the game is okay, nothing terrible, nothing special. Compared to Space Harrier, it certainly has some Nintendo kid-friendly sprites. For presentation, I give it a 6 out of 10. Do you enjoy 30-second loops throughout the entire game? Well, then 3D Worldrunner is just for you. It gets very, very repetitive very, very quickly. Now, the main levels, like I said, they do loop every 30 seconds, but then boss battles have a different kind of feel to them, which is actually kind of cool. The music intensifies a little bit, and when you go to bonus stages, you get a little different music as well. But overall, it's very bland and very repetitive, so I'll let you have a listen.
For sound, I'm going to give this one a 5 out of 10.
The controls in 3D Worldrunner are pretty standard but effective. The B button fires your missiles, while the A button jumps. Your character continually moves forward, so pressing up on the D-pad will speed him up, and pressing down will slow him down. You can also move diagonally by holding up and either left or right at the same time. A nice feature is that you can slow down and speed up Jack while he's in midair to help you land those difficult jumps. During boss battles, Jack will be able to move freely in all directions, similar to Space Harrier. Pressing select puts you into 3D mode. Make sure you have those totally rad 3D glasses handy. Overall, the controls are pretty solid. 8 out of 10. Is this game playable? Absolutely. Is it a game I'm going to pick up and play like every other weekend? No. It's one of those games that you have on your shelf that, every once in a great while you might look at it and be like, yeah, I think I'm going to play this again, give it a whirl. It does get rather difficult as the levels progress, and it's a game that you're not going to beat very easily. It does get rather difficult, but it's worth trying, and I definitely give it a thumbs up. For playability, 8 out of 10. There you have it. There's second place 3D Worldrunner. It's a game that I don't feel you necessarily have to own, but it's got its quirks, and it's kind of neat to just throw it in for a weekend and check it out. It was one of Square's early, I think it actually been their first game they developed for the NES. So, I mean, the 3D part of it's kind of cool, but the novelty kind of wears off quickly. The music's repetitive. It's an early entry into the library, so you can't expect a ton out of it. But like I said, it's worth giving it a shot if you're into that style of game, but it's certainly not one that you have to own. So, kind of base it off of the review and kind of go with what you think. So, with that said, we are at the final game. You guys have voted, and let's go to the podium and see the winner. Jackal was a run-and-gun shoot-'em-up released by Konami in September of 1988 for the Nintendo Entertainment System. It was a port from the arcade version released 2 years earlier. The game was originally called Top Gunner, but was changed for the NES release to not confuse anyone with Top Gun, also a Konami title.
I feel the need for speed.
On that note, let the review begin. The story goes like this. You play as Colonel Decker, Lieutenant Bob, come on, hurry up, Sergeant Quint, and Corporal Gray. You're the baddest of the bad, and they need you to drive some jeeps into enemy territory, blasting your way through 6 levels to rescue POWs and destroy the enemy. The title screen tells you that you will need the ferocity of a jackal. Hardy har har. You start off with a machine gun and grenades. You can upgrade the grenades to missiles, then missiles that explode left and right, and finally, missiles that explode in all 4 directions. Once you are fully upgraded, you're pretty much able to just rapid fire through each level and decimate anything in your path. What's really cool is you can also take out ground soldiers by running them over in your Jeep. It's quite satisfying. Anyways, to upgrade your weapons, you need to destroy the sides of certain buildings to allow a flashing POW to escape. Just run them over to pick them up. You also can free additional POWs that you can later drop off at a chopper.
Get to the chopper!
There are various hidden stars in the game that, depending on color, give you various items' abilities. I rarely come across these though when I play, as you have to shoot random invisible areas to find them. Green stars give you an extra Jeep, orange stars wipe out all the enemies on screen, and flashing stars will upgrade your missiles to the highest level. Graphically, Konami did an excellent job with Jackal. I'd put it in the same boat as Contra. The levels are varied and the colors are done very well. Overall, I'm giving Presentation a 9 out of 10. For sound, there isn't much for me to say. It's got that classic Konami touch. If you've played many other Konami titles, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Just take a listen.
Sometimes you just need to let the soundtrack speak for itself. For sound, this baby's getting 10 out of 10.
The controls in Jackal are pretty decent overall. You can drive and fire your weapons in 8 directions, with the exception of the machine gun, which fires straight north no matter which direction your Jeep is facing. I will say that it can be rather clunky at times getting your Jeep turned in the right direction, especially in tight quarters. One thing I would have liked to have seen them implement in the game would have been some sort of speed boost upgrade for your Jeep. Sometimes you just feel too dang slow, and that would have been a cool bonus. Overall though, I'll give Control 7 out of 10. No doubt about it, this is a must-own for the NES collection. While it's a relatively short game, clocking in at only 6 levels, the latter half of the game can be quite challenging. I was able to beat this game in under an hour the last time I played it, but I used to own it as a kid and I played the heck out of it, and I still enjoy coming back to it. Konami could do no wrong for the NES. Okay, for the most part. And Jackal was certainly one of their many gems. If you don't own this game, you should, and you should feel bad about it if you don't. For playability, 9 out of 10. And here's a little bonus tip for the last boss in the game. Simply move to the right or the left edge of the screen and just stay hugging the edge and just throw grenades or missiles, whatever you have, as he's coming across. He will never bring his big flaming laser to the very edge of the screen. You just have to worry about dodging the bullets. And that's it. If you're looking to buy this game, it averages for about $10 on eBay. Well, there you have it. There's Jackal. A great game to add to the library. It's kind of underrated in a sense. I guess a lot of people kind of have seen a lot of reviews on it now and know that it's a pretty solid game, but it doesn't get a ton of love, and it surprises me because it's so good. It's short. That could be part of it. It's not a game that's going to take very long to beat, but it's really fun, and I really enjoy playing it, and you can get the game, like I said, for $10 online. It's not an expensive game by any means, so definitely check it out. Add it to the library if you can. And it's Konami, so it's got to be good, right? Konami's always good. So that's it. That is the first episode. I want to thank everyone for watching. I want to thank everybody for liking and subscribing and doing all that good stuff. I really appreciate it. You guys make me want to do this, and all the comments, good and bad, that you guys are giving me definitely helps me to make these better videos, and I couldn't thank you guys enough. So again, thank you, thank you, thank you. Please subscribe, please like, check out the Facebook page. I'm going to have the poll up shortly for the next episode. I hope you guys are enjoying this, and I know I certainly am enjoying putting these out for you guys. So check that Facebook page, vote, like, comment, do all that good stuff. Can't thank you enough, and we will see you next time. And with that, keep it classic.